Good evening, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for the evening of Sunday, the 24th of May. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts, and I'm not here to issue trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at ctmthebiggerpicture.substack.com. It's published on YouTube after the delay of a week. Well, it's been quite a news weekend. On Friday after the close, there seemed to be very strong indications from the administration that a new attack on Iran was going to start over the weekend, and it seemed very definite. On Saturday, it was then very definite that Iran and the US were very close to an agreement, and that was likely to get signed over the weekend, so the war was off. And then the details of that agreement leaked, and a lot of the Republicans who've been backing the war were up in arms about it. So at that stage, then Trump sort of backed off a bit and started adding extra conditions, and it was looking pretty dubious on Sunday, and again looking fairly dubious today, with Trump adding that he wants all of the Islamic countries who are involved in this negotiation to sign the Abraham Accords with Israel, and i.e. normalize all their relations with Israel, which many of them, including Saudi, have made entirely clear they're not going to be prepared to ever do unless there is a meaningful solution to the Palestinian problem, which there really isn't at the moment. And then this evening, apparently the US attacked some boats in the Strait of Hormuz, Iranian ones who were apparently laying mines. And then apparently the Iranians were retaliating by firing some surface-to-air missiles at American planes. And then in self-defense, I kid you not, that is apparently what they're saying. But I mean, in self-defense, the US has then bombed at least three Iranian targets in at least three Iranian cities. So if you're thinking this all sounds fairly weird and random, well, you're right. So we will see. But at the moment, the Iranians are saying fairly definitely that the agreement is off. And you can have a look here, and this is actually a pretty good place thing to watch on Twitter. It's the Hormuz letter. We've got US forces struck two IRGC boats laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz and missile sites in Bandar Abbas, and there were two other cities, big explosions. A source so close to Iran's Galabaf says Iran's decisive response is now underway and the deal is off. Multiple massive explosions across the Strait of Hormuz, coastal cities, Bandar Abbas, Sirak, Jask, and a military base with reported hits in surrounding areas. So, and apparently I was assuming that would be the Israel, but apparently it was the US. So at the moment, I'm not too optimistic a deal will be signed. As it is, the deal was going to get around the fact that the Iranians and the US are still seem to be very keen on all of their red lines, which neither of them agree on. If you can't remember, these were basically the Iranian demands made a few days after the start of the war, and they've not actually changed any of these sets. Guarantee that Iran will not be attacked again, permanent end to the war. This would be an agreement which would extend the ceasefire for 2 months, and then all this stuff would be negotiated over that period. An end to Israeli strikes in Lebanon against Iranian allies. This is a red line for the Iranians, and but apparently Netanyahu is saying that the US said that he could do whatever he wanted in Lebanon. Lifting of all UN sanctions in Iran. This was actually going to involve releasing 25 billion of Iranian assets that actually belong to Iran, including 12 billion in Qatar. This would be on signing. Continuation of Iran's control over the Strait of Hormuz, although they would Iran's planning to administer it with Oman, and it won't be charging them tolls. It will be charging them environmental and other charges, although whether that'll be any less is open to question. Acceptance of Iran's right to enrich uranium for its nuclear program. Currently, Trump is saying that, absolutely, this is not going to happen. Compensation for war damages to Iran, that's never going to happen. I think the Iranians actually know it. But of course, if they're left in control of the Strait of Hormuz, they can get their reparations back by charging tolls, I guess. Withdrawal of US combat forces from the region. Well, in all honesty, one of the US generals is saying that they wouldn't be that keen to go back into the Gulf bases, having seen what the Iranians could do to them. So, and I think really, I think this whole fiasco is probably going to end in the US ending all of its Gulf bases. Apart from anything else, the idea that the US could defend the Gulf countries from Iran obviously has been somewhat weakened by the reality of what's happened, and an end to all UN IEA resolutions targeting Iran. Basically, Iran wants sanctions lifted. They want to stay in control of the Strait of Hormuz, and they want peace for them and all their proxies in the region. None of this seems easily agreed at all. So we shall see. At the moment, the market is still up quite a bit. We have ES is up 50. It has been up as much as 75. And obviously, we've no longer got head and shoulders here. That was looking pretty dubious by the end of the week anyway, but we've gone and done the obvious, which is making a new all-time high. And what I would like to see, if all this news isn't too depressing for the market by the morning, I would like to see new all-time highs on the markets, on the RTH markets as well. But in the meantime, we've made a new all-time high on ES. We've made a new all-time high on NQ. Nice looking potential level tops on both. We've made a new all-time high on RTY. Nice looking level top there too. YM. We've actually gone significantly higher than a new all-time high. And I will be having a look at the pattern setup on this, but I haven't really crunched that yet. DAX, we retested the high, potential level top here too. ESTX, the same, although it's actually gone a little up beyond what I'd be looking at for a double top here. So I'm wondering if there might be something else happening here. And Nikkei made a new high too. So basically it's new highs across the board, including on our laggard YM, which actually made a new all-time high in RTH on Inda, not just Dyer, on Friday. So we've now got the new all-time highs pretty much across the board that I was looking for, apart from I think DAX and STX, which I suspect are not quite there yet. That might be getting there. So at the moment, the head and shoulders from that I was talking about on Thursday are all dead. We're looking at new all-time highs, and if in the event that we actually give back a whole load, that's going to leave pretty obvious unfinished business above. I would like to see these the new RTH highs made across the board tomorrow morning. So I'm a little concerned about the news, but at the moment things are holding up. I mean, the dollar, oil, CL actually dropped about $6 on the news over the weekend, and it was down about $8 at one stage, and it's back up about 2.5 of those. But it's actually holding down fairly well, bearing in mind what's been happening. We shall see how this develops tomorrow. But for the moment, we've got some weak sell signals here. I haven't marked them in, but at the moment, I'm just suspending judgment to see what happens tomorrow morning. And in the meantime, we've got new all-time highs. So let's have a look at the RTH charts. Okay, looking at SPX on the daily chart. We didn't quite see a new all-time high there. I would like to see it. We've still got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed on the daily, of course. On ES, pretty much the same, not far short. And I'm thinking that unless we get awful news tonight, it's holding up reasonably well, and we'll probably see new RTH highs tomorrow. In terms of the Qs, I think we actually did make a new all-time high there. Did we make it on NDX? Yes, I think we did. Anyway, so that's fine. Potential level top there too. If we look at the hourly chart here, the RSI 14 sell signal made the possible near miss target. On the SPX chart, we had some sell signals, but they were been on the RSI 14, but they'll likely all been run over by the morning tomorrow. All right, Qs, we retested the high, still on a daily RSI 5 sell signal. The RSI 14 sell signal reached the possible near miss target too. You can see 722.12 against 722.03, so that is a very nice looking potential level top. And we will see how that goes. We've got a on the Qs on 15 minutes, nice looking small double top here, as well as 695. Yeah, okay. So a little level top here. I mean, this wouldn't be a huge retracement of this move back, even to the low at the end of March, but nonetheless. pretty decent. In terms of an overall double top here, obviously we've gone way beyond that. And actually, if you've gone beyond the stage, I'd really be looking for a head and shoulders. So if we do see a big reversal, which I think is still very much on the cards, then I'm not quite sure where that leaves us. In terms of the NDX chart here, we are up hitting resistance. In terms of the SPX chart here, I marked this on the daily chart, which I posted the other day, but this is from the 2022 low, and that's a really, really nice high. Could it overthrow bearishly? Yes. Could we see a breakup? Yes, but I'm not really expecting to see one. And at the moment, while the news was extremely confusing over the weekend, it would be a slight exaggeration to describe it as good. All right, in terms of Dow on the weekly, we have a rising wedge here, and we have not broken above it yet. So we could see an overthrow here too, but at the moment there's no sign of one. On the daily chart, we've still got a weak RSI 5 sell signal fixed, and we have made a higher high here. Overall, we've got a big double top here, which looks great. Smaller. I'd be looking for something else at the moment. That's not likely to be a double top. On the hourly chart, tiny bit of negative divergence here, but it didn't really amount to a great deal. We had an RSI 14 sell signal fixed at the close, and that's likely to be overridden by the weekend's actions, assuming that lasts into the morning. But if it doesn't, then making new highs on the futures charts, which aren't matched on the RTH charts, always makes it look as though there's unfinished business above. All right, looking at IWM. IWM, again, I've got a really nice looking pattern here from the April 2025 low, and we made the resistance on it nicely, and we're still in the zone for that. I'm expecting to see a new RTH high tomorrow, and we will see how it goes from there. But you can see this is a nice looking pattern. We could see a bearish overthrow, and I've got a possible alternate trend line there, although this one is better. I'm still leaning towards seeing more downside soon. When we see this retest of the high here, we'll start getting some weekly sell signals. This will get one starting brewing on IWM. Looking at DAX, wondering about a possible retest of the high. It's been pretty strong over the weekend. We shall see how that goes. No divergence. Nikkei, we got the retest of the high. We went somewhat beyond the retest of the high, and we may be breaking this trend line here, which is a shame, as actually it was pretty nice. This could be a bearish overthrow. And if with the war is continuing and the Strait of Hormuz is going to stay closed, and I wasn't seeing an awful lot over the weekend suggesting, or at least, considered as a whole, suggesting that the Strait of Hormuz is going to be opening anytime soon. Although, against that, I would note that this is the I've been using this as the poly market here. Strait of Hormuz traffic returns to the normal by the end of June. Actually, this is a pretty useful chart, so this is why I've been watching it. This was at about 24-25% on Friday, and then it was dropped. This was the initial report that the US was about to start attacking again. This was all the peace stuff on Saturday. This has been basically drifting down since then and has made it down from 59% it would be open at the end of June, now down to currently about 38, I think, or 39. No, 41% chance. So obviously that's not been aging like fine wine. We will see how that goes. All right, great. Let's move on to DX. Okay, DX doesn't know what it's doing here. We got a potential level top here, which is starting to break down. But if we are going to see oil go up a lot tomorrow, and at the moment I'm wondering why it hasn't gone up to 97, 98 so far. But I think people are potentially waiting for more news from confirming that the current talks are over, and see whether, this is actually, in fairness, these are the first real talks I think we've seen. They've been talks about talks and, being close to agreements, but this is actually the first time. I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was saying, what's different this time? And I said, the Iranians have confirmed that talks are happening. And they might not sound that positive about them, but actually them confirming that they are actually in progress was something new. So it might be that we're going to see more on that, but equally, given that Iranian bombers have been bombing in Iran tonight, I certainly wouldn't be counting on that. Right, looking at the others, UUSD, potential little level top here trying to break up. GBP USD kind of looks like a bear flag. USD JPY, we've broken up, we are consolidating. This could be a little level top, but we may just be then heading up to retest this high. My lean is we're probably going to be seeing the dollar go up. USD CAD hasn't made the target yet and is now getting pretty close. Australian dollar, this could be a head and shoulders forming, and this could be a head and shoulders forming on NZ as well. My lean is dollar is probably up, and if we are going to see a big spike in oil next week, which I have to say looks like a very real possibility, then that's probably going to take DX up with it. All right, let's have a look at that on the bigger picture charts. And obviously, bigger picture, very nice looking overall bull flag on Australian dollar, on US dollar, and I am waiting to see whether it's going to manage to get back to 114.79, which is a very ambitious target. We've got matching bear flags on EURUSD and GBP/USD, and it's a lovely technical setup, even if I've got some doubts about it actually being able to make the targets. In terms of the short-term chart, we've got a big, hang on wait a second, let's have a look at, we've got a big double bottom here which broke up with a target in the 104.572 to 105.239 range. That is still valid, and if we get back and make a higher high over 164, then it's going to be moving up in the probability stakes significantly. In the short term, we have a small double bottom which is trying to break up with a target at a retest of that 164, and we've been seeing a bullish consolidation after that started to break up. No divergence here of anything meaningful. Euro, nothing as well. We've got a double top that's broken down here, and we've seen a big rally, and I'm wondering whether it will resume the downtrend. GBP/USD, we've got a double top as well, but that hasn't broken down yet. USD/JPY, likely, if dollar's going up, then I think we're probably going to go back and retest this high here at 162. There's a slight issue with that because the last two times we got close to it, the Japanese government has intervened to take the yen lower again. On USD CAD, wondering about a retest of this high area here in the 1.48 area. No divergence on any of these, I think, on the daily charts. Nothing. It's Australian dollar. We've got a nice looking potential double top here, and NZ, we have nothing, and I'm waiting to see if something develops. And this could be an overall triangle forming here, possibly. But what it isn't is giving us any really decent short-term pattern apart from obviously the one we're seeing on the hourly chart. Okay, let's have a look at the bonds charts. And ZB has been rallying a bit, and this has been on the news of the piece, and like ES and like oil, this hasn't actually given up on that yet. It's looking a lot more persistent than the news would seem to indicate. So we'll see. All right, but I think bigger picture, I'm leaning towards the downside pretty strongly. ZN, this looks like a bear flag, which fits because I'm leaning towards the downside pretty strongly. We still have a 60-minute buy signal here, and that hasn't reached the possible MS target yet. All right, looking at TYX, we've got a triangle which has broken up. It was an ascending triangle, so I didn't really have to go anywhere to get to the first target, which was the retest of the high. In terms of what the target would be here, I think if you look at Bulkowski's rules, which I'd be looking at here because I don't really have a lot else to give a high quality target on. You don't really get a good quality target out of these. I'd really be looking for a target in about maybe the 60 area. That actually happens to be a very big resistance area, so that's an area I'll be watching pretty closely. We had a weak RSI 5 sell signal fixed, and I think that might be heading towards the target possibly now. We will see no current negative divergence on the daily RSI 14. In terms of TNX, TYX, of course, we've got a big looking inverted head and shoulders here, which is trying to break up slightly. TNX is still likely heading back towards the highs. We've got a triangle here. It has broken up slightly, and that's got a target to retest this high here at 49.97, which would complete that inverted head and shoulder pattern. In terms of the just a clean look at the triangle, it's a very nice triangle, and it is broken up pretty securely. So obviously we need to see some follow through there, but as soon as we do, I'll be looking for 49.97. In terms of the daily chart, no current divergence. In terms of the hourly chart, no current divergence. In terms of FVX, obviously this is the 5-year yield. We've got a triangle here. It's been a little messier. It's trying to break up too. That would have a target at a retest of the high here at 49.88. On TLT, we have another triangle, and that hasn't broken down yet. That's still holding support. So I'm waiting for that to break. It's the only triangle which hasn't broken yet. In terms of the daily chart, no current divergence. We've got a little double top which is trying to break down, has made it part of the way to the target. Again, this has been leaning bearish on bonds. And on the hourly chart, possible RSI 5 sell signal brewing, but nothing really worth the mention. We've been seeing a bit of a rally here. Likely the downtrend is a larger downtrend, which we're likely to resume as and when. Okay, let's have a look at the oils. Now, let's have a look at Brent first. Okay, hang on. Sorry, bear with me a moment. All right, Brent on the hourly chart. These charts only go back 3 months. Of course, I think the Iran war's been it's 89 days since it started, so actually it's on the verge of dropping off the chart. But you can see that I've got a pretty decent looking channel here, and we are heading towards the channel support, and I'm wondering if it might reach that. I've got that at about the 91 area. In terms of the CL chart, we broke down below this rising support, and I've got a weak 6-minute buy signal fix, and I'm wondering why it's not back up at Friday's close, frankly, which is up at about the 96, 97 area, 96.5, I think. I think it might be heading back there over the next day or two. Actually, a few ships were getting out over Hormuz over the weekend in anticipation of an agreement, but I'm assuming that will have stopped tomorrow, apart from allies of Iran. And I would assume that the Americans are going to be reimposing the blockade, which they were also lightening up on. We shall see how that goes tomorrow. And we'll also see what retaliation the Iranians do, because they were saying that if this happened, the Israel were planning to start attacking the oil facilities, and Iran was saying it was going to attack the Gulf states' oil refining facilities and basically production facilities and their desalination plants. That actually could have a vast and very bad impact on much of the oil-producing area of the world, which I'd be watching with great interest. In terms of HO, nice looking double top here. I'm not expecting it to deliver. I've got quite a decent looking double top here on CL, and I'm not seeing any reason for that to deliver either. In terms of RBOB, I'm getting pretty close to rising support again. NG, which of course isn't really to do with Hormuz, we've got a 6-minute buy signal fix, and that's now reached the possible near miss target. All right, let's have a look at that. And obviously, I've been watching the Strait of Hormuz things. That's gone down to a 39% chance now. That was up at about 57% earlier, so obviously there's been a fair amount of bad news on the Hormuz front since then. We'll see how that goes overnight, but well, at the close on Friday, it was about 25%. So it's basically halfway back. We'll see whether it gets the rest of the way. All right, on Brent, I'm still expecting to see more upside here. And actually, even if there was a deal, and even if the Strait of Hormuz open tomorrow, it's going to take months for this supply shock to work its way through the system. And after the first tankers start going through Hormuz, it's going to take weeks for any of them to arrive. I've still got a flag target up at a retest this high here at 134.91, and I'm expecting that to get reached. In terms of the weekly chart, I would note that we've got a possible weak RSI 14 sell signal brewing or a potential level top here. I'm just seeing absolutely no reason to think that might play out. In terms of the daily chart here, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed. We'll see, but I think the chances of this heading down to the lows of early 2026 at any time in the next few months are pretty remote. All right, looking at WTIC, we've got a flag target up at 126.42. And you can see we've just gone down below 90 this weekend. And I've got an extended double top target to retest the all-time high at 147.27. I think there's a pretty good chance we're going to reach that in the next few weeks. But we will see, regardless of whether... it's not really about... I read a post about a month ago saying that actually it was all about the Strait of Hormuz and the war in Iran was largely irrelevant. And what I was meaning was that the Strait of Hormuz has been closed for a significant enough period, and the delay on reopening it is long enough, and the supply shock is big enough that we're likely to see supply side squeezes which are likely to push up the prices a lot. We haven't hit those yet, but I think it's a matter of time, likely, until we do. In terms of the daily charts on WTIC, nothing to see really. This just looks like a bullish consolidation. I think that's what they are on all of these. On heating oil, obviously we made the upside targets. It retested and made the flag target at 4.71. No current negative divergence on the monthly chart, no divergence on the weekly chart, and we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed and have had for a while on the daily chart. This is holding up reasonably well, and we keep making repeated higher lows on good news about negotiations, and I'm leaning towards the upside. We've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed here too, and I've drawn in a potential bullish triangle here. All right, looking at gas oil. Gas oil, we haven't made it to the target on here yet. I'm thinking, well, we've had a succession of big monthly candles here. I'm not thinking this will be as big as the others, but I think there's a decent chance it's going to be positive again by the end of the week. Although the blizzard of bizarre contradictory news has been over the weekend has just been stunning. Amazing. I wonder if that could be kept up all next week. In the short term, though, I've still got a flag target at 412. I'm expecting to see it. And within weeks, it doesn't have to be next week. It doesn't have to be the week after, but soon. All right, we do have weekly sell signals fixed, RSI 14 and RSI 5 on the weekly chart. Not sure how seriously to take those. I suspect not particularly. We do have still, we've made the targets up here. Did we have a larger double top there? No, we didn't. It's just basically the flag target back up at 412 now. It's got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fixed there on the daily chart too, and obviously we broke back below the daily all rounds. Chances are, unless something really changes in terms of what we're looking at on Iran, I suspect we're probably done with this pullback on oil, and it's likely going up again. We shall see. In terms of NG, we're still looking pretty bearish. I do have some reason to think that we might go a bit higher. I've got a target at 317 on the chart here, but we've actually seen a pretty decent rally already. And it might be that it's petering out. What I would say is, and something I've pointed out on recent weeks, is that we are in a period where there is a natural lean to go higher over the next few months. Okay, let's have a look at precious metals. All right. What have they been looking at? Well, they've been looking confused this weekend as well, and everyone's been confused. In terms of the short term, this looks like a bear flag forming. No current divergence on SI. This looks like a little bear flag forming. On palladium, this looks like it could be a double bottom, but equally it could be a bear flag as well. On platinum, this looks like bear flag forming, so these all look like bear flags. I think we're about to see some bad news feeding through into the market. Hopefully not until we've made all-time highs in RTH tomorrow, but I'm leaning towards this going down a bit further. I am wondering on GC about possibly making this double top target down in the 43.30 to 43.60 area. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. And gold. Gold, overall, it's important to remember that we've got a beautiful bull flag channel here. We haven't made it back to channel resistance yet, but I think this is a bullish consolidation before we go up and get that. We could potentially go lower, but I'm not seeing any compelling reason to think that we would. That's on the daily chart. Not a lot to see on the others, really. I've got a weekly RSI 14 sell signal fixed. The RSI 5 one that fixed at the same time has already made target. And as I said, we already have a beautiful flag here. But at the moment, if oil's going to go up, then the correlation that we're working with at the moment is that precious metals are likely to go down. All right, silver. This looks like a bull flag. It's broken up, but I am wondering about a possible retest to low down here at 60.94. Looking at palladium, we have looks like a flag breaking up, and we're already retesting the low on that. That could be setting up a little level bottom. On platinum, wondering about a retest to that low. In terms of copper, we had this retest this high. I called that as a possibility to set up a nice looking double top. We pulled back a bit from there. I'm liking the downside here, and I think when we start seeing some downside on equities, which I think is likely to be soon, or at least unless we start breaking some trend lines to the upside and we just give ourselves over to the AI impulse. But I mean, really, the rest of the market's been pretty flat all year. If you look at the chart that I'm going to be posting as chart of the day and the main Substack tomorrow, advanced decline and prices basically party company at 7,000. So on SPX, I'm skeptical about how much further this goes up, and really we're going to have a supply shock this summer, and that's not likely to be good for the markets. All right, GDX, we've still got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed. I am wondering about potentially a little more downside, but I don't feel married to it. Honestly, I'm hoping that if we start seeing some serious trouble this summer, which I'm thinking we might well, particularly in bonds, then I'm thinking this may well, given that bonds won't be a flight to safety in a bond crisis, I'm thinking that the obvious target would be precious metals to go up in response to trouble. So we're not seeing that at the moment, but I'm thinking we probably will later. In terms of GDX and GDXJ, could come back and retest these lows. No particularly strong reason to think that they would. We've got some buy signals which haven't made target yet, mainly the hourly RSI 14 buy signal on GDX. All right, great. Let's have a look at the other commodities. All right, KC. KC, this is a potential little level bottom here. We've kind of looks like a bear flag forming though, so I'm wondering if we're going to see another retest of the low next. 60-minute buy signal reached the possible near miss target. SB, we're breaking down slightly from the nice looking triangle, which we had been respecting before, so I'm watching this with interest. Do we have any targets to the upside? We do not. And we don't have any targets to the downside here because this head and shoulders broke down and failed. So really, I'm still liking a bullish consolidation here. We'll see how that goes. On CC, we broke down from a head and shoulders with the target in the 3,500 area. This could be bottoming out though, so watching that with interest. But at the moment, I'm not seeing anything really compelling to say that isn't going to make 3,500. On CT, this looks like a bull flag forming. And I'm thinking that's probably the case. I think we've just been seeing a bit of a pullback after the initial level bottom made target on cotton. Lumber, as and when equities start getting hit seriously, I'm thinking this will resume the downtrend. On wheat, we've been seeing a pullback, and corn and soy, and on bigger picture, we've got targets suggesting higher, and all of these have been hit by the Strait of Hormuz and the strikes on the gas production. In the UAE, because that urea, which is a component of the fertilizer that all three of these use in fairly large quantities, is a byproduct of natural gas. The natural gas facility has been hit. The Strait of Hormuz has been closed, and the price of that fertilizer has tripled. That's already affected planting. I'm expecting all of these three to go up. ZL probably resuming the uptrend. Looks like a little more flag forming. Live cattle, or got a potential level top here, and it's thinking about breaking down or possibly forming a right shoulder to turn this into a head and shoulders. I'm watching this with interest. I was kind of thinking this might go up instead, but this is at the moment is looking like a topping pattern. HE has continued lower here. This is absolutely not a bear flag anymore, but actually it might not be going up at all anymore. I'm not seeing a compelling case for retesting the high now. We've got a 6-minute buy signal fixed. It survived the latest move down, so wondering if we'll see a rally on that. All right, great. Let's have a look at the bigger picture on those. On coffee, we've got a nice looking double bottom here, and I'm wondering about a move up on that. On the bigger picture charts, this is only a modest rally. Initially, even if we broke up from this double bottom and made the target, it would only be a 50% retracement of the amount we've already come down. In terms of sugar, we've got the bigger picture target down in the 9 area, but in the short term, this looks like a falling wedge. Hasn't broken up yet, but I am wondering about this breaking up and making a larger rally. Sooner or later, falling wedges do tend to break up. Looking at the daily chart, no current divergence. And no clear bottoming pattern either. There's a potential double bottom here. It's not of highest quality because it didn't quite retest this low, but it got pretty close. There is a workable double bottom here. It could deliver. In terms of cocoa, we've been seeing a bit of a rally here, and could this just be a kind of bearish consolidation? It could. I am wondering if this is going to deliver a retest of the low in due course. In terms of cotton, cotton may have had a little level bottom. Well, little level bottom on this chart, but this is a huge chart. But we had a double bottom here. It's made target. I'm thinking this is a bullish consolidation. We're likely to go higher afterwards. We've still got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fixed here. That might need to get down to the bottom possible near miss target. In terms of lumber, bigger picture, we have a downtrend here, which has been taking a very, very long time to not continue so far. This is actually a bear flag that's been forming for 3.5 years now. We've got a double top within it, which is broken down with a target in the 352.5 area, and that, of course, would also be the target of the bear flag. So sooner or later, I'm thinking this is going to resume that downtrend and make that target, but it's not been in any hurry. Short-term daily chart, no current divergence. In terms of wheat, we're seeing a bit of a pullback. We've broken up for a double bottom with a target in the 739 to 742 area. Daily chart, no current divergence. Well, we've got an oldish RSI 14 sell signal fixed. I'm not taking that particularly seriously. In terms of corn, we've got a lovely double bottom as well. That hasn't broken up, but if it does break up, this would have a target in the 624 to 640.25 range. And I'm thinking that's just likely a matter of time until that breaks up. Keeping an open mind, no divergence on the daily, apart from, again, an old weak RSI 14 sell signal. Soybeans, we've got a potential inverted head and shoulders here. This was actually, it looked odd that this didn't have a double bottom like the others, but we've now got an IHS. It's now fully formed. It hasn't broken up yet. But on a break up, this would have a target in the 1560 area. And I'm thinking that may deliver. In terms of the daily chart, no current divergence, and this isn't quite a double top here. So I'm not treating it as one. I think this is an overall bear flag forming. All right, let's have a look at crypto. Okay, in terms of the flag here, this is still looking pretty good. This is a beautiful bear flag channel, and I think we may be forming the right shoulder on a head and shoulders, which would then take us back towards the retest of the low, which is where this bear flag should end, and that's the retest of that low here at 60.1k. In terms of the daily chart, not a lot to see. In terms of the Solana chart, Bitcoin, we've been having a bit of a rally this weekend, not really seeing an awful lot on Solana. I was asked whether this looks like an inverted head and shoulders, and the answer is no, not at all. So if it'd be easier to interpret as an asymmetric double bottom, which should be a possibility, but I don't think it's one of those either. We've broken down from the flag here. I think we're just waiting for equities to turn, and then this likely goes down. In terms of Ethereum, we've got a nice looking flag too. This is now breaking slightly below the flag support. In due course, I'm expecting to see this bear flag deliver a retest this low here at 1746.93. And on Solana, the target would be a retest of the low here at 67.65. All right, great. In that case, I hope I haven't bored you with too much news. It's been very interesting and frankly rather confusing to watch. We will see how it develops from here, but certainly it's hard to imagine it could get more confusing. We shall see. All right, great. Cheers, guys. I'll catch you again on Wednesday.